Hey everyone! In this video, we'll be talking about getting your mockup session files exported and prepared for recording in Pro Tools. In this case, I'm working in Logic for my mockup, but these steps will apply for any DAW you're using. Basically, what we need is a Pro Tools session in the right sample rate with our stems, tempo map, and video all aligned as they are in our mockup. So let's get into it. Once we have our mockup session open, we'll need to take note of the SMPTE timecode of a couple of different things. If you don't know how to find the SMPTE timecode in Logic, you're going to go up to your control bar, click on the drop-down arrow, select Customize Control Bar and Display, and make sure you have Custom and Positions selected. You should see up here a big long number that displays in order hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Okay, so now we need to take note of the SMPTE timecode of our measure 1 as well as the timecode of our movie start. We'll use both of these numbers later when we're setting up our Pro Tools session. So in my case, my measure 1 starts at 01000614. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. And my movie starts right at 01000000. I'll write that down as well. Some filmmakers will send you a video file with a pre-roll which would start before the first 01 hour, but in my case, I don't have any pre-roll. Now what we need to do is to bounce our stems so they all start right at measure 1. This will make importing the stems nice and easy since they'll all start at the same place. What we're going to do is select our first stem group, which in my case is my woodwinds, solo them and drag the cycle range to start at measure 1. We'll bounce this stem group, and here's the important thing. Please find out what sample rate and resolution, or bit depth, your recording engineer records at. 48K is a common sample rate that many engineers work with. In my case, I know my engineer records at 96K at 24-bit. Make sure you select that in the sample rate and resolution dropdown before you bounce each stem. Okay, now that we have those numbers selected, we're going to bounce our stem and save them in a folder we can easily find later. I'll name this my project name _woodwind stem and _M1. M1 is to show that my stem starts at measure 1. So now that we've bounced that, now we're going to repeat that process for the rest of our stem groups. Remember, we have to reselect our sample rate and resolution each time we bounce a stem. Alright, now that we've bounced all of our stems, now we need our tempo map. To do this, we're going to pick any MIDI region from any one of our MIDI instruments. We'll extend the region so that it starts at measure 1, and then we're going to export the region as a MIDI file. Now we're ready to close out our mockup session and open up a new Pro Tools session. Remember that sample rate and bit depth we talked about? Before we do anything, we're going to select the right sample rate and bit depth that our recording engineer needs. In my case, I'm selecting 96K and 24-bit. Now we can name the file what we like and save it in a location we'll remember. Okay, now that we have our session created, the first thing we need to do is set up our frame rate and tell Pro Tools where measure 1 is. If you're not sure what frame rate your video uses, you can find out by opening the video in QuickTime, Show Movie Inspector, and your frame rate will be right here. Now back to Pro Tools. So we'll go up here and click on Setup, then click Session. We're going to set the frame rate to match the frame rate of the video given to us, which in my case is 24 frames per second. Then we're going to set the session start to the SMPTE timecode of our measure 1. We should have written that down earlier, so in my case, I know measure 1 starts at 01000614. We'll hit Enter on our keyboard and close out of this window. Now, if we click on the drop-down in our control bar and select Timecode, our measure 1 should show the same timecode we wrote down, 01000614. That looks good. The next thing we're going to do is import our tempo map. We're going to go up here and select File, Import MIDI. We'll select the MIDI file we exported from our mockup session, and this window should pop up. Here, we're going to make sure the location is set at Session Start, and we'll make sure these boxes are checked. We'll hit OK, and our tempo map and meter changes should appear in our session. Now that we have our tempo map, we're going to click up here on Track and select Create Click Track. Now we have our metronome that follows our tempo and meter changes. You can now go ahead and delete the MIDI track since all we needed was the tempo map. Alright, next we need our stems. To do that, we're going to click File, Import Audio. We'll find and select all our stems, click Add, and then hit Done. That will bring this window up here, and we'll select New Track and Session Start. Now, if we hit play, all of our stems should line up with our click track. If something doesn't line up, you might want to rewind this video and make sure you bounced all of your stems correctly. If any of your stems are playing back too fast or too slow, that probably means you bounced your stem in the wrong sample rate. If everything lines up correctly, then we can go ahead and move on to importing our video file. Right now, our session is set to start at measure 1, but we need to change that to start where the movie begins. We're going to go back to Setup, Session. Now we're going to set the session start to the SMPTE timecode where the movie starts. We wrote this down earlier as well, and in my case that's 01000000. If we hit enter on our keyboard, this window should pop up. We'll select Maintain Timecode, and that will bump all of our stems, measure numbers, and tempo map up. Now we can go to File, Import, Video, find our video file, and select Open. For the location, we'll select Session to Start, click OK, import the audio file if you want, and let everything load. Once our movie is in, we can play everything back and everything should be lined up. If everything plays back correctly, we can save and send this Pro Tools session file to our engineer, and the recording session should run smoothly. I hope this video helps. Good luck with your session.